All right, Fox 5 Health News. Research suggests a new pill could be a real game changer for people who suffer from asthma. Researchers say fevipiprant, something like that, is the first pill in almost 2 decades showing promise in significantly reducing the severity of the chronic lung disease. All right, joining us now, Fox 5 medical contributor, Dr. Devi. All right, first off, let's get the pronunciation right. I'm not sure I said that.
I think you got it right.
Pretty much right. More importantly, so what does it do? It seems to be a pretty positive thing.
Well, it works on the cells that are more specific for the inflammation and asthma. So normally the problem in asthma is that your body mistakes things like pollen or perhaps environmental triggers like smoking, the cold. It mistakes it for some type of infection that it has to fight, and it starts attacking. And so that inflammatory process actually causes damage to your airways and to your lungs. So now there are specific cells that fight, let's say, bacteria or viruses. In this case, it's something called eosinophils, which tend to go up. And so when these people with asthma kind of cough up sputum, you see a lot of eosinophils in their sputum. Now, this drug actually works on all of that to lower the eosinophil count in the sputum. And the researchers also tested some other measures of how bad a person's asthma is. So they looked at CT scans of the chest as well, which seemed to improve. They looked at biopsies of the airways, and they also looked at pulmonary function tests, which are regular breathing tests to see how someone with asthma is doing. So across the board, it seemed to do pretty well on all those measures, which is really promising. But at the same time, it's not far enough along that it's available yet. So they've studied it in the safety trials. It appears to be safe. And now they're going to start doing it in larger trials. So at least these preliminary studies look like it's helped
Maybe down
out
the road,
these folks.
though. Right. Good news.
All right, well, this is kind of bizarre. We know that obviously reading is very good for you. It not only expands your mind, your vocabulary, but apparently, according to the Journal of Social Science and Medicine, it'll help you live longer.
Well, I thought that was exciting. I mean, it goes along with a lot of the other research that shows that if you read more, maybe that leads to delays in terms of your cognitive impairment. So the better shape that your mind is, the better shape that your body might be in. But with this study, it's a little tricky because they sort of observe people. So they look to see what people were doing anyway. So they didn't really make certain groups of people read versus not read. People who read continued to read, and people who didn't read as much continued with their own habits. So the problem with that kind of study is that you can't tell if there's something different about those folks, right? Like for someone to read 3.5 hours per week, which was sort of their cutoff point, I'd love to be able to do that, but I feel like work interferes. It's not really possible, in terms of the leisure time.
It doesn't count if you read like 10 billion tweets a week, right? Not the same thing.
Well, newspaper, maybe, news,
Who knows?
But I mean, the people who have more leisure time might also, it might be the leisure that's protecting them, right? Not necessarily the reading. And then, of course, folks who can't read for 3.5 hours per week, why not? Maybe they have vision problems. Maybe they have other health problems that are actually preventing them from doing that. So the study was looking at reading, but although they tried to control for some of these factors, they couldn't do it perfectly. And they also acknowledged that the people who tended to read the most were actually women who are college educated and more wealthy. So you're already getting a little bit of
you can have better health care, all of that. It's very difficult.
Right. Seems like a good thing, though, to keep your mind active.
I think so. I mean, I think reading and keeping your mind active in all different ways better for your overall health.
Good. We like that. Thank you, Dr. Devi.
All right, thanks.
Nice weather helps too.